Hello, welcome. I'm Commissar Marek, and today we are going to be taking a look at a new game which is called Project 37. This game is an upcoming indie RTS game which I've been given a preview access to their demo, and I've played some of the missions. So my goal today is to make a video and show people that this game exists and that it's coming and what it offers and what it's like and what are the systems in it, because I do find it interesting. But keep in mind, I did not get paid to make this. I do not receive anything for this. I make it because I'm interested in RTS games, and this is a new one that's upcoming, and I've been told to give some feedback on it. And the developer of the game is not opposed to me making this, so I'm going to make it. In any case, what is Project 37? Project 37 is a game that is heavily inspired by Command & Conquer games, especially the earlier ones, but it has many quirks to it. It is its own game, stands on its own two legs with many distinctions. However, you can still clearly see the inspirations from looking at the units or the buildings or some of the mechanics. And I must say that compared to something like Command & Conquer 1, even the remaster, it actually is much easier to get hang of as a new player, because that game is very dated and the remaster really was true to the original, even to a fault. While this game, for example, does not have the persistent threat of like all of your infantry getting run over by a single vehicle, things like that. And it is essentially an auto-battler, sort of. But you can also micro units, you can do orders, and it's more along the lines of lanes. So imagine if you had something like a Dota where you have lanes. They're not necessarily 3 lanes. A lot of maps will have different amount of lanes, and sometimes only one on the earlier ones. And your units will follow the lanes as creeps in Dota, and you create them from barracks or a factory or airport. The buildings like that. There's also navy, and those units will follow the path from node to node, conquering bases until they reach the end of that line. You can refund units when they reach the end of a certain line and there is nothing else for them to do. You can get rid of them and get back some resources. Now let's talk a little bit about the resources. There are 2 resources. There is ore, which is money, essentially like Tiberium in Command & Conquer, sort of, because it is gathered by miners that go from a refinery to a field of minerals, but the field of minerals or ore will never get depleted, and there are a set amount of them on a map at any given time. And basically you can have 3 miners per refinery currently, and they will automatically go out and collect this and bring it back. Units are created in squads, and ore is primarily used for creating units. There is another resource, which is oil, and the oil is industrial resource. You use it to create more mining vehicles, you use it to build more buildings, you use it to build defenses, that sort of thing. While units and creation of units is mainly the ore. When you capture a zone, you will always gather some extra resources, so you can immediately start expanding and setting up your FOB or forward operating base. So you can make them advance, or you can make them fall back, or you can make them patrol. Now these things are useful because it allows you to, for example, when you have vision of the enemy approach and you see an enemy attack, you just defend, kill that attack, and then move out with your army and ensure that you can actually conquer. It is not a game where you want to feed your units to the enemy base and let them keep dying over and over. That would very quickly drain your resources. But it is open to sort of that bowling where you mass up enough units to finally conquer an enemy base and choose different units. There is Air Force, there is Navy, there is land units. Different kinds of land units. Some units will counter each other, but from what I've seen so far, the counter system is a little bit more soft as opposed to something like in Age of Empires 2. Now, a disclaimer here, just because I'm covering this game, that doesn't mean I'm a tremendous fan of Command & Conquer. If you know me or what I like, you might know that I like Age of Empires 2 and StarCraft and games of this nature. I like to have 100 workers and massive economy. What I don't generally like is shallow economy, and CNC usually had a very shallow economy when there's only one resource. This game has two resources, and I suspect that like true die-hard Command and Conquer fans might find too many. I don't know. For me, even 4 in Age of Empires is fine, along with Pop. This game is not about the eco, really. I mean, it is, because you need to fund the army. However, it is more so about unit control and unit choices, at least from what I've been able to tell so far. So, what's the game really about as well? You are basically leading a PMC, or private military contractor group, and you are fighting over an island, and there are hostile forces here. You're supposed to be PMC backed by the US, I believe, and you can unlock different units different upgrades on a sort of a progression system. And once you beat a mission, you can always assign your credits to upgrade something, and then you move on to another mission. This preview is the demo that's gonna come up, but there's gonna be some changes before you get access to it. I suspect the demo will be free on Steam for anyone, so you can wishlist this thing and give it a toss when it comes out. And there is other plans for features. I think the expanded progression should probably be on the menu, as well as some more missions. So the game really plays like Command and Conquer in many ways, but again, you train units in squads here. So you don't train one unit per cycle, but each squad consists of multiple different units, and then you can replenish those squads if they take casualties and they don't get completely wiped out. You can just replenish as well for some money, for some ore rather, that you spend. Something else to mention. There is a mechanic where if there is impassable terrain, this game will automatically create Chinooks and transport your units over rivers or any obstacles like that where you have to go through due to the lanes design. And that is kind of cool, and it is, again, taking away all the tediousness that normally is associated with large-scale macro-oriented RTS. You have many things taken care of with just automatic commands. Of course, sometimes you don't want your units to just start shooting the first thing they run into, and in that case, you will want to target fire. However, it is completely viable to also play on lower difficulty and just kinda let your units do all the work and focus on just sending them the correct way. Unfortunately, I must say that I would have liked there to be more economic management or more economic upgrades or more economic things to focus on when my units are out of the field doing the fighting. But I understand that it's supposed to be a game about the military aspect more than anything else, and that's what I've been told, so that's what I'm relaying to you. Now, I didn't want to just make a video where I'm gonna blab about, but I also want to show you the footage. So I've been showing you some of these missions, and currently there has been enough content for me when I played it for the first time on hard difficulty to get 1.5 hours enjoyment out of this demo preview. But again, there will be a couple more missions very likely for the main demo release when it goes public. And then the actual game, it's gonna be focused on a campaign and not on a PvP scene. Therefore, you can expect a story-driven campaign experience with persistent upgrades through between missions. Of course, the art style follows very similar look as CNC, for me at least personally, which I'm not an expert on CNC. Therefore, you can let me know if you disagree with that, that's fine. But to me, it looks very similar, from the guard towers to units to to infantry to units. Of course, the terrain as well. So yeah, I mean, for me, I don't mind this art style at all. I think the game has some very good art. I think the game does use AI art just as a thing that is used in it. If I'm wrong, then I might be corrected, but I believe that they do use it. Otherwise, after your economy is set up, usually then it's time to create a barracks or a factory, start making some units, and as I said, units are created in squads and we can give them orders. The initial missions will push you towards a certain direction. There are, as I said, some counters at play here. So you have units like the robotical dogs, which are similar to Red Alert or Command & Conquer dogs, which would be able to just maul infantry very quickly. These dogs are countered by the shotgun troopers though, who have a bonus when fighting in urban environment by getting extra armor. So there are unit bonuses at play. You can select individual units, and then you can see on the right side, you will see their stats from health to armor to damage. So all these important things, if you are into those kind of details, are of course there for you to identify, which I like. There is multiple different environments, so maps will feature rivers as well as mountains, forests, or cities or towns, and you fight in different kind of places. As I mentioned, some units will have bonuses in different environments, or that's how it works. There is a counter system at play, and some units will have special abilities, like for example, Humvee will deploy mines, who will then seek out enemies and remove them, such as similar to spider mines in the StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty campaign. If you are familiar with the spider mine that's deployed by the Vulture, yeah, they work like this, but you have unlimited access to them because they refresh automatically in the Humvee, and you just skirmish. By one of the missions is centered around this, where you have some squads of irreplaceable Humvees, and you just push out to deploy the mines and then withdraw, let the enemies advance into the minefields and get blown up. And that's how you defend in that particular mission. Usually a mission will have some sort of overarching theme, or what kind of unit you are supposed to be using. There is also artillery and tanks. Also, as I'm not sure if I mentioned, but there is a global upgrade system, and if you want to transport artillery with the Chinooks, I think you require a capacity carry weight upgrade for your Chinooks in the campaign screen. Otherwise you will be stuck with your artillery in a part of the map where they are not going to be useful, which can be a bit unfortunate, because each time you conquer an area, you are given a choice what unit to unlock in that particular scenario to play with, because you only have a limited selection to play with at the game's start when you start each map, and then you can expand those options by getting a bonus from conquering a forward operating base and clicking on the appropriate button. So I think that will pretty much cover it. I'm gonna just quickly show you some of the recordings I had of some of the fights and give you some samples of the game music, and that's gonna be everything from me for this video. I hope that it was at least a little bit informative. You can visualize this game on Steam if you wish to follow its development and eventually get your hands on the demo or the game itself in due time. And again, thank you for watching. See you around. Bye.